And in constructing a closed-ended question, it is also guided by two principles. First is the response category should be exhaustive, which means it needs to be include all the possible expected responses, and it must be mutually exclusive. So that could not be just compare or select more than one, just in only one or in only option or answer. And it needs to be careful consider on each combination. If the respondent could choose more than one answer, then researcher himself or herself need to know that those type of question require only just one answer precisely, or it could just taken into more than one answer. Then it need to be stated in a clear instruction before given this to the respondent, otherwise it could mislead in the understanding. And the next point of the guideline in asking question is making item clear. By making item clear, it means this item in the responses need to be clear and ambiguous, which means it is not open to more than one interpretation. The respondent could not interpret those items into another way of understanding. They could just understand it precisely and clearly. And that is why questionnaire item need to be precise, should be precise. Otherwise, it could like go unambiguous. It could go ambiguous and just give the two different response to the researcher, and it is not be useful for the study as well. And the respondent could know exactly what is being asked when the questionnaire is precise enough. So they don't need to think much, they don't need to take time in making decision. But in this, another example of item that could be not so clear enough is the term. For example, the use of term Native American to mean American Indian. Here, it could produce an overrepresentation of the ethnic group because respondents would understand Native American to those who born in the US, but actually it means to American Indian. So that is why we need to emphasize clearly on the item that we have provided in the questionnaire for the respondent. Next, it is on the avoid the board barrier questions. The board barrier question mean a researcher asks respondent for a single answer to a question that has multiple parts within, and it happened when we identify on a complex question. So, for example, the United States should abandon its space program and spend the money on the domestic programs. So abandon on its space program and spend money on the domestic program is the multiple part in just a question already. So it is not suggested this type of question to be listed down in the survey research. Next is on respondent must be competent to answer. So conducting a survey, we need the answer from the related people to find out what is the real cause, what is the real things happen. Why it has happened so. So we need to find the competent participant and need to ensure that we could rely on those information that they are provided. For example, there's a statement of student government leaders occasionally ask their constituents to indicate how student fees ought to be spent. This type of question require a particular or a good enough knowledge to answer this question. So we need to ensure when we roll out this question to any participant or any respondent to answer, we need to ensure that those participants are competent, are knowledgeable enough to answer this, because without fairly good knowledge, the respondent could not provide a meaningful answer to this type of survey or this type of question. And our survey result will not be fruitful as we want as well.